Hello, all you nomadic wanderers of the wasteland. I am King Link, and this is going to be my last look and review of Conan Exiles by Funcom. Now, this is a third in my series of the Humble Monthly Bundles for August 2018, and I'm finally done. I have a review of A Hat in Time and The Escapist 2 already on this channel. Check them out after this video, but first, let's see how Conan Exiles measures up. Well, Conan Exiles is based on the book and movie about Conan the Barbarian, of course. But for those who didn't see my first look, why didn't you? You missed out on the fact that Conan Exiles is a Conan game that is heavily missing Conan. It's a survival game, and in the first minute, Conan takes you down off a crucifix, which is a good start, but he doesn't use his name ever, and he just wanders off to do something else and never comes back. It's an odd opener and perhaps a bit indicative of the game itself. I'm not saying that Conan Exiles is bad, far from it, but I think Conan Exiles is not comfortable with itself, both in the name and its gameplay, and it seems almost embarrassed to open up about itself. Almost every system in the game is referenced in this giant quest structure known as the Journey, but it's not explained there. Eating, drinking, and using a simple skinning knife, for instance, is demanded by the Journey, but the Journey itself doesn't attempt to answer how to do it, what functionality there, or what else it can tell you. It's just there to award experience points for the system. If I have one huge complaint, it's that. The Journey is set up to be an excellent tutorial system, and kind of is, but the game squanders it because it doesn't want to show that process. It creates a game where you have to have a guide open next to you on a computer or a phone, and that's how you're going to know how to play. And well, we all did that for games like Minecraft, which was stuck in early access. This is a full game that's released out of early access a couple months ago, and it just doesn't feel ready for it, perhaps. There's actually a lot of elements in Conan Exiles, and I'll try to do each one justice. My written review is far meatier, and you can check that out down in the description, but let's talk about some of the major systems. The first choice you have is which type of server you're going to be on. PvE, PvE Conflict, and PvP. Now, PvE is player versus enemy. It's simple as that, no special rules. Okay, PvE Conflict allows you to play PvE, but from 5 PM to 11 PM it switches to PvP. So if you find you don't like PvP, you don't have to log on then, and you can enjoy that server as it is. Of course, if you want some PvP, you can log in during those times. Now, PvP, on the other hand, well, it's normal PvP, of course. But 5 through 11 PM, the game allows you to destroy other people's structures and they appear vulnerable. It's an interesting idea for multiplayer, and you know what? I'll accept it. Personally, I'm PvE for life, but that's my choice. If you want to go to the next tier or even full PvP, it's there for you. At the same time, each server houses a different copy of your character and your buildings. I have a female character that I accidentally called King Link, and a male character which I'll play for this review. If you don't know which server you were on when you created a certain character, you have a history option that tells you where you've been, but you also might be out of luck and lose a valuable character. There's also a single player mode, and honestly, that doesn't make a lot of sense here. It's similar to a single player of Minecraft where you're just building something for your own use, and it's really just a local server. Now, you can be admin and change settings and do what you want. You can check that out if you really want to run your own experience or even host a server for friends. There's cheats and there's more there too, but the choice is really yours. So, with those servers talked about, let's talk about gameplay. The biggest part of almost any game is the combat system, and the fact is, I kind of like the Conan Exiles combat far more than I probably should. It's a simple dodge, block, attack system, but it's made so you can easily tackle enemies, and sometimes attack enemies that are harder than you or higher level, and you can beat them by learning their patterns. The downside, though, is the game doesn't let you know what you can and can't take on, or at least should or shouldn't take on, at any moment. So oftentimes I felt like I had to take a hit to see if I've overextended myself. Still, the battle system is rather good, and I found it fun to tackle 2 enemies at a time, even 3, and deal with the stamina management while fighting a hard enemy. In addition, running away is always an option, and the system allows you to do that pretty easily. you can even scamper up a tree or a rock. That's another system. There's also a climbing system in Conan Exiles, and it works rather well. You climb based on your stamina, and it appears that anything you can't directly walk over, you can leap up and grab onto the side and climb up. The only question is, do you have enough stamina to reach a safe point on it, usually the top? So that's nice, but once you're on top of a large rock or mountain, climbing down is actually harder, as there's no way to lower yourself over a side, so you're forced to jump off, pull back onto the rock, and try to catch it. If you don't do it wrong, you're gonna die. But I'll admit, sliding down the rock is actually really cool and worth checking out. If you are watching the video itself, you'll notice I've done that earlier on. I'll try to do it later on, but go back to the beginning, see how I'm climbing up the first few objects that I come across. Now, as Conan Exiles is a survival game, you of course can also build structures. And I've seen some really impressive structures in my time, though it's a little, well, let's say janky. I had some trouble placing certain pieces the way I wanted to, and trying to force them into place by clicking the apply button repeatedly ended up with a misshapen piece that's off the wrong side. Now, there's probably a way to delete the pieces of a structure that are in the wrong layout and get the right piece in there, but I still couldn't place that piece I wanted to place, and I just gave up. The fact is, in these games, I like having a simple shelter, but really I didn't care about making the largest, most beautiful place. If you like that, kudos. There's guild halls that people have made as a group. It's a nice system, but that's up to you. I do love seeing other people's places, but for me, I just need a place where I can just throw my stuff. So there's two big parts of the game that I haven't talked about yet, at least. There's the exploration and resource gathering. Now, exploration. You have a large desert wasteland here when you explore, and honestly, there's so much to see. There's tons of locations to go check out, and I love the exploration aspects and getting rewarded for experience, for finding different locations. The experience system in this game rewards you for almost anything you do, and exploring and finding a location is actually a good experience game. At the same time, well, that's what draws people in the game. The game's really about resource gathering, or combat based on that. The first couple hours, the resource gathering system seems pretty smooth. You go get some rocks, you go get some branches, and you get some grass, or really plant fibers as it's called. And you build tools like a hatchet or a pickaxe, and get more resources with those tools like stone, wood, and grass. And then you build a house, of course. You can even build like a furnace for your house, and that's a piece that costs about 500 stone, which sounds like a lot, and it is, but it takes about 30 minutes to gather. It's not that bad. The problem is, the game shifts after that and starts demanding large amounts of iron ore, which is difficult to farm efficiently. Even with good equipment and good weapons, I still had trouble. You'll see I find some iron here. The game wants, like, for a blacksmith bench, which is the weapon generation piece, you're gonna need 100 ore, which is about 100 bars, 200 ore. And you'll see I can get maybe 40 or 50 if I find the right vein, but then it disappears and I have to wait. So from there you can also get thralls, build better weapons, and explore more, but ultimately that's where I stopped. I played this game 3 times, once on the single player server for the first look, and then I did it twice on 2 different servers. The fact is, the game is rather good, but I also got frustrated at the point where I needed iron twice. The requests started becoming really high, and personally, the fact is I knew I wasn't going to be sticking with this game. I'm not a survival fan, and that's the honest truth. And the simple fact is, while I enjoyed my time with parts of the game, I gave up at that point. So let me go into a bit of what frustrated me and what really made me stop, other than just grinding. The fact is, it wasn't grinding to me, but it was finding an efficient way to find the iron without just looking at the same nodes or using a map that tells me where those iron nodes respawn. That's how I think you're supposed to do it, but it's not a random spawn, so you just farm the same location over and over. In addition, the health in this game is dependent on food. If you take damage, you don't heal up. Instead, you have to eat food to heal. Now, that could work, but it became a micromanagement system because, as you see again here, you can't, well, at least I don't, but you can't eat multiple foods in a row and stack health regeneration. Instead of scarfing those 5 sandwiches, you need to eat a sandwich, wait a couple seconds for the heal, eat another sandwich, and then do that until you're fully healed or at least you're comfortable. In addition, corpse runs kind of sucks in any game. Conan Exiles, of course, does that, but it does 2 things with it that annoy me. The smaller issue is that when you get back to your corpse and find it, you can't just re-equip everything, put on your armor, and put all your gear back into your quick bar. Instead, you have to grab the items off the corpse, run, find a safe place, and manually put the items back in place. The worst feature, though, or bug, is that if you get to the corpse, sometimes I found my corpse is invisible. So I was forced to log out and log back in and hope my corpse reappeared. It did most of the time, but once I even had to do it a 3rd time. That stunk. So that's a bug. Might have been fixed, I'm not 100% sure, but speaking of that bug, there's a lot of bugs in Conan Exiles. At least there was when I started playing. I haven't retested each one. And the fact is, there's stuff like people are flying in midair, there's a big lag spike as you die. It appears to kill you, but it actually is after the final hit lands. Buildings have been attacked and destroyed for no reason according to other players, and I think I've seen that myself. Apparently major updates cause a lot of bugs, and being 2 months out of early access and already having an expansion, the game should be in better state than it is. But the game can also use a fresh coat of paint, or at least new animations. You'll see me jumping here, and the game does look good outside of that, the jump animations feel awful, and the climbing is a little bit awkward too. You know, the attack animations are simplistic and I can live with that, but I think, honestly, the animations are a little bit weak. Again, that might be just a symptom of being a survival game. That's what people expect. Okay, that's just what I'm noticing. Ultimately, though, I'm ambivalent about Conan Exiles. There's some stuff that really annoy me here, but I'm not the target audience, and I'll admit that. There's bugs, and those should be fixed, and they probably will be. But most bugs don't ruin the game, even. The corpse run is the only one I would really say is a major issue. At the same time, I really like parts of this game. Climbing feels really good, but does look awkward. Combat is tight, and I like building stuff most of the time when it works. If you're thinking about grabbing the Humble Bundle, I recommend this game. It's $12 and it's a great deal for it. It's a $40 game normally, and you're also getting a Hat in Time in the Escapist as well as more games. That's not bad. But the fact that Conan Exiles went to Humble Bundle so fast is a little worrying for me. It's only 2 months out of early access, but it's a great package. You should pick it up in the Humble Bundle. At the same time, if you're thinking about getting this for full price, think about it a bit more. I won't say it's not worth it. I have to be honest, it's not my type of game, but I get it. But I'm having trouble saying it is worth it as well. Again, not the target audience, so I'm not sure. If you love survival games, or if you're a huge fan of the Conan books and really the mythos and the world around him, not himself, this is the game for you. On the other hand, I think most people should hold off for a short while, let Funcom properly finish the game, and get it to a place where the game is slightly better off. But I'm going to do something a bit different here. Now, if you've been following me, a 2 for me is a bad game. A 3 is a good game, not a strong recommendation, but a recommendation. I'm going to give Conan Exiles a 2.5 out of 5. Yeah, what? You see, it's not bad, it's not good. Yeah, it has issues, but they should be resolved eventually. The game is about resource gathering, and I won't fault it for that much, but the bugs do ruin the experience, and you know what, the tutorial does bother me a lot. God, it should be better. If most of the bugs get fixed though, I'd move the game up to a 3. I could even see going as high as a 3.5, especially if you really like this genre. It's not a bad game, but it's definitely one that needs a little more time in the cooker in my opinion. So, that's Conan Exiles, and with that, I'm out of here. I'm going to skip the end spiel that I normally do, and just tell you to subscribe if you want to see more from me. So thank you if you do subscribe. In addition, I have a written review in the description if you want to read a little bit more. There is a little more deeper dive into the game. And coming up next, we have a retro game for you. It's not very old, it's only about 2 years old, but it is based on an NES game. It is River City Ransom Underground. I'll see you then.